scooters on Twitter and like posts tweets to my IG story, and
I
actually do see like pictures of people like under the hashtag of like scooter and like people's cats. So I think it's pretty common if people name their cats Scooter.
Scooter is that's interesting. It's a nickname that I think was more for human people, but it seems to have fallen out of fashion and then now more relegated to cats. I don't know.
Yeah.
Scooter.
There's a lot of new names relegated to cats.
Yeah.
I feel like it makes a lot of sense though.
I have to sort of cop to having a bias on the spelling of Allyson, to always wanting to know why somebody has spelled it in any other way than the Elvis Costello song. So have you ever, I mean, but Allyson, Allyson, is a unique spelling to me. I'd never seen that before. Have your parents ever explained to you the genesis of that, what that came from? Or
No, my dad named me. That's what my mom told me. But it's like, I guess it's like English spelling.
Okay.
And I actually have a friend who has the exact same spelling as me.
Oh, wow.
So it's like kind of trippy.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of weird, like when someone else calls your name and they're not like talking to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like a different name. But then you get very interesting names at like Starbucks or something because you just don't want to bother with like someone spelling your name.
Yeah, I saw that that post of your Einstein receipt.
Yeah.
How did that even...
I don't know. Some people are just lazy, or maybe they just don't hear certain words.
They don't hear and they don't feel like clarifying. I guess they just want to move on.
Yeah, sometimes I want to move on too.
I get that. But then, I don't know. It seems like it's indicative of the whole need, or like impermanence or something, like not impermanence, but attention span, right?
Yeah,
because there's this idea that I don't have the time to confirm how you spell your name. And then there's not, it's not, I don't think, meant out of any malice or anything like that.
Not at all. They just want to get people through.
Right. But you could also look at it, if you were so inclined to overanalyze things like I am. Yeah. I see it as a huge slight. Like, yeah. You couldn't, how you couldn't ask, you couldn't, like, and so then I build an instant dislike for somebody that probably doesn't deserve it and has no idea that they're now an enemy.
I do, like, I would feel that way more friends. I actually had a girl I went to school with that still couldn't like spell my name correctly.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
I don't really talk to her anymore. So, but yeah, usually strangers I don't care as much, but then, like, yeah, actual people that are friends of yours, just like, oh, you could do a little bit better. But yeah, I've also had that Elvis Costello song. Like, people will say that.
Yeah.
It's like I was really drunk at a party once, and some guy was just like, tried to sing that song. He tried to sing a song. It's like, wait, asked me for a date. I went on a date, but did not go well.
Oh, yeah.
So
that seems like a very odd way. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. Alcohol is certainly time honored lubricant for awkward individuals.
Yes.
But it also has its drawbacks.
Oh yeah. So that was like, but yeah, I thought about that song too. Cause I'm like, oh yeah, people ask me that all the time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I feel like I have to apologize for that. That's, it's not, it's kind of almost like a hack thing, but what can you do? It's the guy's poster's right behind me.
I know. It's like, the universe is with you and asking that question.
Now, so what is your sort of experience so far with being involved in the sort of Phoenix music scene and writing about it? And I mean Phoenix as a whole, with the sprawling morass, including Tempe and Mesa and all of the various scenes and all that. What has your experience been, kind of like moving through that and making a name for yourself as somebody who writes about that?
Well, I don't know. It's like, I think it's just sometimes like there's just so many things, and there's like so many different genres in music.
Mm-hmm.
I also kind of notice like people like groups of people will like stick with like bands will like stick with like one genre of music, like, oh, we'll just play with them. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I think it's a lot of just like putting yourself out there,
Mm-hmm.
going to places that you wouldn't think you would ever go to.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to Rebel Lounge quite a bit, and it's pretty chill there. So like I'll like meet people, then like other people will meet, like, oh, you should check this out. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just like, trying to navigate it was just, I think it's just meeting as many people as you can and being open-minded as much as you possibly can. Because I think a lot of people want to be heard, but it's just like finding the right people, or if they are willing to, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just putting yourself out there, to be honest.
Well, and where did you first begin finding some sort of success with getting articles published or reviews published, and this sort of thing, where now you have a regular column? That's kind of, people who write about music would, I'm sure, love to have a regular column. So what was your path to that, as far as, you mentioned sort of just introducing yourself to Mark and Carly and all that, but I would imagine they had to see your writing somewhere in order to
absolutely
to trust you with that.
Oh yeah, so I mean, I didn't really write anything for the longest time. It was just like I was going through some things. I'm like, like that was like became friends with Mandy, who lives in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh yeah, like I'll write. Well, we were doing like vinyl, where we like drink a bunch of wine, like a whole bottle of wine, and like talk about vinyl and stuff like that. So it was just like, so then I think I was mostly interviewing like national bands, like I was interviewing Rock Lotto and Adam Franklin at like Swerve Driver. So I was like reviewing just national shows, but I wasn't really so much reviewing local shows. I like review like Twin Ponies and MB Alexander, and I think I kind of like made that connection, like would like talk to some of the people, but I think that's just more like just me being out and just like more connecting with people, like on more of a personal level, not like so much like a writer, interviewee kind of level. And so it's just like, I was obviously listening to some podcasts about like self-motivation. I'm like, oh, I should just like go writing again. So I just messaged him like, oh, like I just have this idea. And I actually did show them like my work.
Okay.
Like these are the things I've done. So, and then they were cool with it. So I think that's just how I did. I just, they decided like, oh yeah, you want to do this, we'll see. So just like something like once a month. So
yeah,
because I don't know if I have like that kind of like energy to like actually do a whole music blog. I have a lot of respect for them.
Yeah,
that is a lot of work, but I don't know if I can write about music all the time. So I feel like a monthly experience, and this is just something like, oh, more the album reviews. I do all those like podcasts and everything. So they do a trivia night. So if I'm like, oh, this is like something different. Because a lot of people like have opinions on like social media, and I was always curious about like why people do what they do on social media, like how they are successful. So, so it also it's kind of cool to interview like sometimes like older people, like I guess in their 40s or something. I don't know if it's like older or anything, but
that's a little insulting.
like people who are older than me in their 40s, because they have a different experience in social media. I don't know how to
people
describe
who are
that.
older, like in their 40s. That's
older than me. I mean, I'm not in my 40s yet, so, but you know what I mean. But it's just like it's interesting to like have people's different experiences. So I don't know. I just like literally just asked, and I'm like, I guess the worst they can say is no. And if someone said no, I just feel like, oh, I'll just publish something else in a different way.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like for anyone's advice, just ask. And
that's I when I started doing this podcast, I had it was something that really had no traction yet or anything like that. And I was basically interviewing friends who were writers and that sort of thing, and not having any sort of I do all of my own booking, obviously. And I was just wanting to kind of, expand the scope of the show a little bit, right? And so I had just deciding what do I have to lose sort of thing, just emailed like sent an email to Robin Hitchcock because I had
Nice.
heard that he was playing in Tucson. I'm like, I do this podcast. Would you be interested in being on it? I had nobody of his stature at that point who had been on the show. I had, again, it was all wonderful local people. And he was just like, yeah, sure, we can make that happen. And since
Wow.
then, yeah, that was like my first, I'm like, okay. So again, to your point, like what is the worst thing that can happen is that somebody's either just not going to respond
Yeah.
or they're going to say, thanks, but no thanks or whatever. And so since then it's just been all right, I'm just going to email everybody. And some of them are going to say yes, and some of them are going to say no.
Or some won't just respond at
and
all.
some will just not respond. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it is scary to still contact people
Yeah.
because you like don't know. But a lot of times people are like really cool about it. Like, oh yeah, I love to do that.
Yeah.
I'm always surprised. I'm like,
Well, yeah, and
you
you have
really
to
wanna
bite
do
back
it?
the impulse to say, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, like what are you like thinking? But I think it's just sometimes like that imposter syndrome, or like or self doubt. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I guess just do it. Like literally like a Nike slogan.
Sure, yeah, but also don't exploit workers at the same time.
Exactly.
Just do it without exploiting your workers.
Like the little like byline right
Exactly.
Hack
Parenthetical, yeah. Do you have any particular writing habits for yourself, or do you have any sort of how obviously, I'm sitting here just kind of doing this off the cuff, but I also have like a longer format to do this in. You have, I would imagine, as, in doing a column or writing a review or something like that, have relatively comparatively more constraints than I do, and I'm able to just shoot the shit for an hour.
Yeah.
So do you prep a lot going in? How much, if you're going to talk to a band, do you do a lot of research or anything like that?
I do some. Like, I just want to see where they're coming from. But sometimes it's like people I know a little bit better. It's always interesting, like when you know people as people, but you don't really know. It's like, you know about their stuff about their band, but you don't know like all this other stuff. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
But so I'll prep a little bit. Then I'll just like sometimes I have some generic questions. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes the people who like maybe like grew up in a whole different era with no social media, I'll, like ask them different things from a different point of view. But a lot of some of the younger people, like who were in social media, I will, gear the questions like a little bit different. Like, like what kind of mistakes you've made, like what's your advice? Because sometimes I'll like have a little bit different perspective, but. So I'll do that, and I'll just like write down the questions, and I'll then I have like an app that I just like will have everything transcribe, and I'll listen to it for a while,
Gotcha.
Not listen to my own voice, and then I'll actually do a little bit more research and like actually do the write up of like how I'm gonna frame it. So, but yeah, sometimes I feel like working a 9-to-5 job just like really sucks your creativity.
Yeah,
it's like sometimes draining because I'm like I just want to do more, but I am also like need to sleep too.
Yeah, I remember sleep fondly. It's something that I used to really enjoy. But yeah, I don't know. There's like these sacrifices that you have to make, and if you're gonna push for something.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, I'm struggling trying to find a job that is in Phoenix, so that's so I don't have to like commute. I feel like that will make a difference.
Sure.
But yeah, that's been a little bit difficult. I feel like that's like kind of like a challenge in a way, but also you need to pay your bills too.
Yeah, there's that nagging thing of like electricity and running water.
Yeah,
and
like
a roof.
food.
Yeah, it would be. I feel that's not to take a political dive here, but it feels like this is and also not just Arizona specifically, but the country in general is very. Not friendly towards anybody who wants to pursue things creatively. Like you hear about all of these stories, and just a little bit north in the magical land of Canada, where people get government support to make their albums and do their TV shows and that sort of thing. And you see, I'll look in the back of in the liner notes of a new Pornographer's album and made with support from the Arts Council of Canada or whatever it is. It's like, wow, they have some support system for artists. It's pretty pretty insane.
It is. I don't think our country society is like that because it's just like, it's like this whole 9 to 5 grind. We work more than any other country.
Right.
So it's just like, how do you find time? And, I feel sometimes like even like my